There is a certain elegance in the motion of a rotor, a quiet, patient rhythm that echoes across centuries of discovery. When a generator begins to turn, it doesn't simply produce electricity, it awakens a dialogue between motion and field, between matter and space. Each pulse of current is the continuation of a law that has never changed, that all power is geometry in motion. The high-efficiency, 500 RPM permanent magnet alternator is not just a component in a modern off-grid system. It's a message from the past, a refinement of timeless principles that began in the hands of early experimenters and now find their expression in clean aluminum, wound copper, and silent steel. Gearless, compact, and enduring, it transforms motion into electricity with a purity that modern complexity often obscures. At its core lies the permanent magnet synchronous generator, a three-phase configuration that eliminates brushes, gearboxes, and excitation current. Its rotor carries powerful rare earth magnets, its stator geometry is tuned for low cogging torque and high stability. With every rotation, it breathes in motion and exhales current, turning natural movement into continuous power. For those who live close to the rhythm of the land, in wind-powered homes, off-grid labs, or remote installations, such a machine becomes more than a device. It's a companion to independence, a bridge between the mechanical and the natural, an object that answers directly to the environment rather than to a grid. But to understand what this machine truly represents, one must travel backward, to the long arc of electromagnetism itself. In 1831, Michael Faraday turned a copper disc through a magnetic field and observed a faint current deflecting a needle. What he found was not a phenomenon, but a relationship, a harmony between motion, space, and field pressure. He had discovered induction, that movement within a magnetic field gives rise to electric potential. There were no electrons in his vocabulary, no formal theories, only the courage to look beyond appearances. What he saw was geometry alive, invisible curves of force threading through space, waiting to be shaped by motion. From that insight came everything: dynamos, motors, transformers, and finally, civilization's luminous grid. Yet as machines grew more complex, something subtle was lost. The early elegance of direct field interaction gave way to layers of noise, gears grinding, brushes sparking, bearings whining. We gained power, but we forgot the grace of simplicity. The modern low-speed permanent magnet generator is, in a sense, a quiet act of remembrance. It revives that original harmony between motion and magnetism. By removing gears and mechanical intermediaries, it restores direct communication between the moving field and the conductor. What remains is pure geometry, motion transformed into current without interruption. To look at it is to see the long story of electromagnetism condensed into form. Every feature, from its 500 RPM operating speed to its smooth, gearless structure, speaks of refinement. It's the product of a century of learning, not just about materials but about resonance, efficiency, and balance. This evolution wasn't born in peace. Much of the science that makes it possible came from the pressures of the Cold War. In laboratories driven by urgency, engineers developed high coercivity magnets, neodymium and samarium cobalt, capable of retaining intense fields under stress and temperature extremes. What began as the pursuit of military precision eventually became the foundation for civilian freedom. From radar cores to wind turbines, the same magnetic science reshaped how we think about motion and energy. By the 1980s, neodymium iron-boron alloys allowed magnets to become smaller yet stronger, enabling the design of compact generators that produced immense torque with minimal mass. Thus, the lineage of this generator runs through paradox. Born from conflict, it now serves peace. Designed for precision warfare, it now enables quiet autonomy. What once powered machines of strategy now powers independence, a family's wind tower, a researcher's experiment, a remote outpost living entirely off the grid. The lesson is clear. The field itself is impartial, its power depends only on how we choose to shape it. There is beauty in the decision to go slow. Industry has long equated speed with progress, higher RPMs, faster turbines, greater output. But physics is honest. Every increase in speed brings more heat, more friction, more loss. Efficiency, it turns out, lies closer to stillness than to frenzy. A generator running at 500 revolutions per minute moves with deliberate grace. Its torque is balanced, its waveform clean, its vibration barely perceptible. There are no gears to chatter, no belts to snap. The magnetic field moves as it wishes to move, in rhythm with its own design. The result is something unusual in modern engineering, a machine that feels calm. Wind, too, prefers calm machines. It is not constant, it arrives as breath, gust, pulse. A generator that begins to turn at low RPM doesn't fight the wind, it listens to it. Where high-speed systems stall, this one awakens. Even a whisper of motion is enough to spark generation, because its field coupling is direct and its resistance minimal. This is the hidden elegance of low-speed design, the art of doing more with less, of matching nature's tempo instead of imposing one's own. Every generator is also a memory. Within its core lies the echo of every experiment that came before. The field that now turns your alternator is the same field that guided compass needles across unknown oceans, that shimmered in the auroras long before humanity gave it a name. We do not create the magnetic field, we collaborate with it. Charles Proteus Steinmetz once called it the soul of the machine. He understood that efficiency is not merely mechanical but moral, a harmony between what is asked and what is given. When the relationship between current and field is balanced, the system hums not just with power but with grace. That hum, the sound of a permanent magnet generator running at steady load, is the sound of geometry at peace with itself. No rattle, no harshness, only the rhythm of rotation and the breathing of the field. It is, in its own quiet way, a meditation. And perhaps that is why such machines are finding their way back into workshops and laboratories. In an era that celebrates abstraction and simulation, there is comfort in something you can touch, something that behaves exactly as nature intends. Turn it, and it turns back. Move it, and it answers. True sustainability begins there, not in scale or slogans, but in continuity. A system that wastes little, that demands little, that endures without attention is the real definition of renewable. The permanent magnet generator embodies this principle. It requires no brushes to replace, no excitation to sustain. Grease it lightly, mount it well, and it will serve year after year, quietly converting motion into current. From -40 degrees to desert heat, from sea wind to mountain air, it performs the same. Its small mass and low friction mean that even the gentlest motion becomes productive. With a starting resistance of only 0.3 Newton meters, it can awaken under the touch of a breeze. For the builder, the maker, the dreamer, it represents something deeply personal: independence. To generate your own energy, to see your work translated into light or heat or motion, that is the oldest form of empowerment. The story of civilization is a story of energy, fire, motion, and finally, field. Each era begins when humanity learns to cooperate with a new form of power. Electromagnetism, discovered scarcely 2 centuries ago, has already remade everything: communication, transportation, and even our sense of time. Yet we often forget that we did not invent this force, we simply learned to listen to it. The permanent magnet generator listens well. It does not command the field, it harmonizes with it. That is why its efficiency feels effortless, why its output is smooth and silent. It's not fighting physics, it's flowing with it. In this way, the modern alternator becomes a symbol of a larger idea, that progress need not be violent. For too long, we've equated advancement with acceleration, productivity with pressure. But perhaps the next frontier lies in gentleness, in machines that draw power not through dominance but through understanding. The 500 RPM alternator represents that shift. It turns slowly, steadily, and efficiently, embodying a philosophy of design that respects the limits of materials and the rhythm of nature. It is, quite literally, a slower revolution, one measured not in speed, but in coherence. Every engineer who studies its workings learns the same lesson: efficiency is the art of removing dissonance. Each smooth bearing, each precisely wound coil, each magnet aligned in true polarity contributes to a harmony that can be felt as much as measured. In the quiet hum of a balanced machine, there is a truth more profound than any equation: energy is not created by force, but revealed through order. And so the generator becomes a teacher. To observe it in operation is to witness balance made visible. The 3-phase waveform rises and falls in perfect symmetry. Voltage and current align in rhythm. The entire system becomes a kind of instrument, tuned to the key of the universe. The practical virtues follow naturally: a compact frame weighing just 3 kilograms, stable output at multiple voltages, simple lubrication, operation in extreme climates. But these are the outer details. The inner truth is simpler: it works because it respects the field. In off-grid towers, wind turbines, and experimental rigs, this machine turns quietly, often unnoticed, but always dependable. It is a bridge between the mechanical and the electrical, between intention and flow. And in a world increasingly defined by noise and haste, that kind of quiet reliability is its own form of beauty. We live in a time when our devices are faster than our understanding. We measure efficiency in digits but forget what it feels like. The permanent magnet generator invites us to remember. Its slow rotation reminds us that energy is not a number but a relationship, a conversation between motion and form. Each revolution is a moment of alignment, each pulse of current a message from the field. As global systems grow fragile and dependence deepens, the value of self-reliant power will only increase. The 500 RPM Gearless PMSG is more than hardware, it's philosophy in motion. It reminds us that the future of energy lies not only in new technologies, but in renewed understanding. Its design is an act of humility, an engineer's acknowledgement that the universe already knows how to turn motion into current. Our task is merely to cooperate with that knowledge. Machines, after all, are reflections of thought. The low-speed alternator is not a triumph of human domination over nature, but a gesture of harmony within it. It does not roar, it hums. It does not rush, it endures. Turn it once, and you'll hear the soft conversation between copper and field. Turn it again, and you'll feel the balance of forces, the timeless exchange that powers stars and cities alike. The machine turns, the current flows, and in its rhythm you can almost hear the voice of the field itself, the quiet assurance that the universe remains coherent, patient, and endlessly generous to those who listen. This is more than technology, it is remembrance, of Faraday's hands, of Tesla's dreams, of the invisible lines of force that connect every spark to every motion. The 500 RPM permanent magnet generator is a bridge across time, a device that condenses the long story of electromagnetism into a single gesture, motion becoming current, field becoming form. It stands not merely as a product but as a principle, a reminder that simplicity, balance, and understanding are the real engines of progress. In its steady rotation lies everything we have learned and everything we still hope to rediscover, that energy is everywhere, waiting for the hand that knows how to turn the field.